By tradition, each infant goes through a rite of choice which dictates their future path. The boy chose the path of the patriarch. He thought he would enjoy a wealthy and rich life. But those dreams were shattered instantly because Jin lacked the basic swordsmanship required to be a Runcandle clan member. The world is ruled by the Runcandle clan, specializing in elite sword mastery. The heirs of the clan are granted superhuman abilities and the best swordsmanship to rule the world. The clan embodies virtues of struggling, achieving, and relishing. It is the definition of the last man standing, and that's exactly the clan our protagonist was born into. Jin Runcandle is the youngest son of this clan. His people ridiculed him as the shame of the family and a disgrace to their legacy. Eventually, he was known as the worst swordsman in the history of the whole clan. If you thought your life was shit, just think about his. It's so bad that his fellow clanmates make fun of him for practically picking up a sword because he's so trash. These bug-eyed, bitchless loudmouths ridicule him for not being able to wield his holy sword Balasada. Poor guy has no choice but to ignore them. So his brother whacks him with a powerful kick to remind him of his shitty place. He tries to reach for his sword, only to get his hand stomped on. They don't want him to even try swordsmanship since he's so bad. His second brother makes fun of him for carrying notes to help his pitiful situation. To make the situation even worse, they snap his sword and tear apart his notes. This is done as a reminder to Jin that he will forever be the shittiest swordsman and a disgusting wench to their family. When he raises his voice against this unjust act, he gets bullied by his brothers who think they're doing him a favor. Jin's very own siblings tortured him every day, as if his talentless state wasn't enough. But he didn't care about that. He just wanted to try harder and harder to somehow and someday earn the trust of his family. So with that spirit, he gets back up, to make himself worthy of the clan. But unfortunately, he isn't getting a Zenkai boost in this universe. Bro gets disowned by his clan, but at least they spared him for trying. Jin was reduced to a vagrant, before inevitably crossing paths with his teacher, and realizing that he too boasted talent. He had a kind of power that was forbidden in his clan, the power to wield magic. 3 years have passed since then. Jin is a busy student hard at work when suddenly he gets swallowed by the shadows. He turns to find a giant entity called Soldaret, the master of the shadows. It's a lucky day for our boy as he's been chosen by a literal god to fulfill a contract. By forming this contract, he will be able to wield the power of shadow and become immune to curses. The god of shadows is surprised when he notices that Jin had been cursed from a young age, which is why he couldn't unlock his talent. The curse called Blade's Delusion suppresses the talent of a swordsman, which is basically a death sentence for someone in the Runcandle family. The god of shadows releases him from this curse and declares that he will become a swordsman with unparalleled abilities. Jin returns to his place and instantly grabs his sword to test out the theory. When he launches his sword in a clean swing, he realizes Soldaret wasn't just capping his powers. He's gained tremendous control over his sword. The worst swordsman of the clan doubles down by using magic and further enhancing his abilities. Finally, everything he had worked so hard for was coming to fruition. Or that's what he thought. Fast forward to his gruesome state, Jin was suddenly attacked and defeated. In his final moments, he wasn't able to make use of his powers, and slowly fades away into nothingness. As he's crushed underneath the rubble, Jin wonders why he was given a second chance. The world goes blank before he reopens his eyes, shocked to see his clan members again. More so, he's in the same sword sanctuary where the Balasada awaits him. Baby Jin remembers this day, and realizes he's returned to his past by more than 20 years. The boy clutches his sword, earning the praise of his family. This time, he grabbed the weapon of his own will. 6 years after he chose the Balsada, the midget couldn't reach the top shelf. He's been in the Storm Castle for a while now and has to endure 3 more years before he's finally free. The boy feels caged when suddenly, one of the maids is horrified to find a dead bird in his room. Jin assesses the situation, realizing only 2 people could do something so audacious and brutal. The 2 people in question are his snickering brothers, the brats who have no regard for the poor animal. Daytona is 9 years of age, while the white hair punk is Haytona, sharing the same age. While they're laughing at the bird, Jin feels sad. These 2 clowns ended up becoming murderers in his original life. Right now they're children. But even then they killed a poor bird to scoff at their own brother. The shitty yin-yang pair has no limits. They're trying to get a reaction out of Jin, ridiculing him for not wielding the Balsada. Jin prepares to speak when Haytona reaches to attack him. When his punch is blocked, even he is stunned. Because Jin isn't playing around as he launches a powerful counter in his face. He gives Haytona a thunderous beating to remember. And even though Jin is barely exerting his powers, he still beats the crap out of his brother. Finally, our boy leaves his bratty brothers with a warning to stay out of his way. Khan arrives, surprised that our boy has defeated both his brothers. Jin simply told him that they got into a fight with each other, resulting in their defeated condition. Of course, this is far from the truth. But still, Khan wants to take them to the doctor. However, Jin refuses against such an act. He takes them someplace else. Jin leaves them vulnerable to a heavy storm. It may be cruel treatment, but he believes it is necessary to teach his brothers the consequences of their actions. Khan is in no authority to question the young master's orders. Strangely, he senses an unusual, sinister aura emanating from the young master. Khan wonders if Jin deployed the use of mana. Realizing that Jin is responsible for putting his brothers out of commission, Khan deems it necessary to report to the patriarch of the clan. Back at the Storm Castle, Jin sees the snitch making his move. He knows that Khan is their guardian and reports everything to the patriarch. Jin concludes that he must have sensed the use of shadow force. In other words, the source of his powers after he made a contract with the god of darkness. It also implies that even in his second life, his latent powers of darkness are active, allowing him immunity against the curse he inherited in his first life. No longer subject to a curse, Jin has changed history as he will no longer be remembered as the worst swordsman. He's happy about that. His next obstacle is a confrontation with his father, the patriarch. After Khan's report, the patriarch tells the guardian knight to assemble the flag bearers. He senses the need to have a meeting with his son. With all 200 knights of the Runcandle family prepared, the legendary patriarch of the Runcandle family marches his return to the Storm Castle. Mary is surprised they were given a sudden order to assemble. Dyphus, her comrade flag-bearer, is also clueless. They were in the middle of an epic battle when it happened. Dyphus wonders if it has something to do with Jin. They can hardly piece together why it's necessary for the patriarch to see his son. Luna interrupts them both, gesturing to stay quiet. But Mary is still curious because she doesn't get all the hype behind Jin's specialty. Back at the Storm Castle, one of the maids informs Jin about the arrival of his father. The pipsqueak wonders what else the guardian knight told his father. He thinks that his father must be curious about the power that he used, since it's different from both mana and aura. The meeting is necessary to determine whether Jin's powers will benefit the clan or not. The patriarch arrives with his many knights, donning his beautiful blade. He demands both Haytona and Daytona to be summoned. After their summoning, he directly asks about their mistakes. The brothers try to act cheeky, and answer that they didn't do anything. It was Jin who attacked them with a weird power like magic. But of course, they're only saying these words to trap their brother. But this level of manipulation isn't enough to persuade the patriarch, as he leaves both his sons with cold advice. Their survival in the clan will be short-lived with such a feeble mindset. He basically called them pussies, and then demanded Jin to be summoned. Jin stands before his father, Kiron Runkandel, the head of the family as well as the strongest person. So powerful, in fact, that he is classified as a divine star knight and a demigod. After reaching the heights of such power, Kiron's human emotions have been dulled. The only passion he shares is an obsession for his clan's greatness and prosperity. In his original life, Jin was treated like a nobody. He had nothing to impress his father. But in this life, the boy walks with confidence and stride, knowing that he can no longer be underestimated. He makes his entrance as the flag-bearers glance at the boy, kneeling before his father. Sieran questions why his son addressed him as the patriarch instead of his father. The boy responds that he thought it would be proper to address his father with respect. The Divine Knight proceeds to ask the same question he asked his brothers. Clenching his fist with frustration, Jin responds that their only mistake was revenge. He espouses the principles of the Runcandle clan to always take revenge, no matter the relationship. Hearing such words, Kiran commands the knights as well as the flag-bearers to leave the room. They're all shocked that Jin passed the patriarch's test. Mary is impressed by her little brother for earning a private meeting with their father. The door slams shut, as Kiran finally addresses the issue of magic. He reminds Jin that magic limits their potential for sword mastery. The patriarch directly questions the source of Jin's powers, emphasizing that punishment is due if the answer is mana. Thinking about his options, the boy thinks that he will be in deep trouble if he tells the source of his power is the god of darkness. Jin answers that he doesn't understand his abilities either, and showcases his father a glimpse of his powers. In a twist, it is revealed that Jin's powers were once wielded by the founding patriarch of their clan. Sieran immediately takes note of Shadow Force, shocked that his son could not only wield Balasada, but also the Shadow Force. He wonders if it is Jin's destiny to become the next patriarch. Interestingly, Kiran already knows about the God of Shadows. He explains that Soldaret once made a contract with Tamar, who was the first patriarch of the clan, allowing their growth. But after his death, the God of Shadows never appeared to offer his powers to a Runkandel, not until Jin's birth, who now wields the Shadow Force. Curious, Jin asks his father an important question. He wants to know if the God of Shadows is stronger than even him. Sieran thinks about it for a moment, and claims that he doesn't know as he has yet to fight a god. But his words are laced with confidence, because only someone who is the most powerful man in the world can say something like that. Sharon likes his question and pats his son. He's proud of the boy and questions how Jin will use his powers. The boy confesses that he will use them for the prosperity of the clan. Kieran laughs as he sees through the boy's deception. He knows that his son is brutal, as he not only beat up his brothers, but let them suffer the wrath of a storm. That kind of answer was a blunder on Jin's part, so this time, he proceeds to give an honest answer, declaring that he will use the Shadow Force for himself. Ciaran isn't frustrated with this answer, and even praises the boy for it. He would observe him for the time to come. With that, the meeting between the father and son finally ends. Jin is left exhausted but proud of the outcome. He no longer has to worry about concealing his powers, so it's a good outcome. The same boy remembers just how invisible he felt in his original life. But things were changing for the better in his new life. That night, his elder sister Mary brought him a special gift. She cooked him a nice meal as a parting gift. Jin doesn't remember her being so nice. When he opens the box, what lies inside is a burning heart of a phoenix. It's a crazy present to give to a 7-year-old boy, but Mary is just that kind of crazy. She's a flag bearer and a 6-star knight. She bears many names, but perhaps her most notorious one is the Madwoman of the South. Basically, she's your average Hello Kitty girl but on steroids. This gift is an invitation to her brother to quickly become strong and challenge her someday. Devouring a phoenix's heart is greatly advantageous as it grants total immunity to fire and excels one's growth. Jin wonders if he can become strong enough to summon a phoenix someday on his own. The maid, Jilly, brings him the prepared soup. But before he could dig in, Jin's 2 bratty brothers are drooling over the meal. They want a bite out of it too, but aren't man enough to admit their intentions. Jin offers them a chance to eat the soup in exchange for a favor. The favor turns out to be an annoying job. Both Haytona and Daytona have to dig a hole to search for something. But these clowns are ready to risk it all for some soup. What rests underneath the ground is an incubation chamber that holds a body of a mysterious figure cloaked in darkness. After a fuckton of digging, the boys are finally done. They return in a wretched condition for their well-deserved soup. However, Jin has already finished most of it. He has left just a teaspoon's worth for them to enjoy. This dude is a savage. While his brothers are seething over his shitty tactic, Jin arrives at the site where they dug a hole for him. He's impressed by their work, and thinks a simple spell should be able to penetrate what's left. Jin is glad as he can finally use his mana, shattering the hollow wall. Lo and behold, the secret library of the Runkendel clan. A place that was kept hidden from him in his original life. There's a passcode that lets you enter inside. Jin feels confident and utters his request to console Murakhan. The door opens after his chant. After dominating the world, the Runkendel clan preserved the relics of their fallen enemies. Only the flag bearers of the family are allowed to enter this area. And in his original life, he learned the phrase from Dyphus. It helped him unexpectedly in this life. But even Jin is surprised when he sees a murky figure preserved in a capsule. Seeing the man's scaly skin, he wonders if this creature isn't a human. Jin catches a sudden realization that this is the dark dragon Murakhan itself. According to the legends, the dragon was defeated by the first patriarch before falling to a deep sleep. Jin stands before the legend and tries to search for the ancient books. After locating them, he begins his research by learning the secrets of the Kungin clan. However, the words are too difficult for Jin. He wants to take the book with him, but it would risk getting caught. The boy takes out his materials, deciding to copy the content. Every day, he would study at home and copy from the library. One day, things became complicated. Someone else decided to come to the library at an unusual time. But this isn't just anyone. It's the dark dragon Murakhan who has suddenly awoken. Jin tries to remain calm as this monster is an ally of the clan. He tries to act polite with the dragon by calling him a dragon. But it goes to infuriate him as he viciously shouts at the young boy. Murakhan feels angered that he was reduced to a guardian for the Runkendels. He sulks at his current situation. The only reason he awoke from his slumber is because he sensed something from the boy. Murakhan is surprised to find remnants of Shadow Force lurking inside Jin. He claims that such a scent could only be produced by Soldere's contractor, so there's no mistake about it. Jin decides to test his luck and shocks him with a display of his powers. The dragon stutters, before collapsing in defeat. He's disappointed to realize that the latest contractor is a pipsqueak. Murakhan is devastated to explain that he made a promise with the god of darkness, and because of that, his partner is apparently Jin. The dragon saves the explanation for another time. He decides to give the boy a proper introduction, as the monster manifests into its true form. Murakhan is an aide of the god of shadows, as well as the last descendant of the shadows. He made an oath a millennia ago. This gigantic beast has vowed to partner with the boy as he is Soldere's contractor. Jin introduces himself as the youngest Runkendel and greets the legendary dragon.